So I didn't like the protectionism. The next thing I didn't like was the gang up. So they ganged up on me. Even Richard got into it, trying to get me to break the gag order. John Clark, he decides he's gonna like poke at me online. It's like, hey Jamal, if you leave the church, your wife and kids are gonna abandon you, which is an actual real struggle of fourth Adam who's trying to get away from the church. Any fourth Adam, the 7,000, even though they're silent, they'll tell you one of the more difficult things. And see, you and Young and them know this because I see the way you strategize to use spouses to pull would-be free people back into your fold, which is really fucked up. Really fucked up. Okay? So I know you know this. So you're working against providential decentralization when you guilt shame the other spouse. Okay? No, you should act as an older brother in the realm of fourth Adam, showing what liberation of the fourth Adam's realm looks like. That is exactly what True Father prayed over you when he elevated you, that you would be as a teacher. Go look at it. Go look at it. Stop being mad at my face. Go look at it. He said you should play the role of a teacher to show the way to live in the realm of fourth Adam. So in that regard, let me say, you're sidetracked by the job description that Cookjin gave you, and so it leaves you delinquent in the job that Father gave you, okay? So if you wore that other hat, do you think you would be using spouses to pressure the more liberated spouse to come back into tithing and the structure of the church and all this kind of thing? No, you wouldn't. You would have taken your licks from those assholes in Korea. You would have been convicted that something's wrong with that, as you were when you first moved to Pennsylvania, and you would have showed people through bushcrafting and other liberating crafts, jiu-jitsu and such. That's why I liked your personal ministries and projects that I felt were based out of your home, out of your true person. I didn't like your church project because it's filled with all that shit. It's shit. So when these guys ganged up on me, I gotta finish John Clark. So John Clark, he touches me at a nerve where it's like, dude, do you know that that's one of my fears, that moving to the next realm would be a strain on my wife? If I'm not dependent on hierarchy and access to the true family, and she is, and I move further away from the true family, or further away from being seen as a darling of a true family member, and she can't take that shit, it's gonna be, right? So when John, see, I'm telling you too, John, because I don't dislike you, but you didn't know who you were talking to. So you were actually saying that my wife is a whore of the Restoration era. You didn't know that that's what you were saying. So when I told you, why don't you ask your wife? Maybe she knows something about that. You thought that I was calling your wife a whore. But you were already, from my point of view, insinuating that my wife and my children are whores. You were already insinuating that. And that's where I was coming from. Don't hate your brother. I really didn't like the fact that in the ensuing days, you called me a hood rat. Because I'm a very intelligent person. I grew up in New York. I know how to get down. But I'm far from a hood rat. But I didn't like that, John. Gladly forgive you, but at least you should know where I was coming from, because I tried to tell your son one time, I doubt he did an effective job at relaying that to you. But anyway, so everybody's ganging up on me, which I can take it. And I'll explain why I can take it later. But I can take it. I said to myself, when the gang up started, I said, if they ever try to employ using my family against me, I look up to God and I say, God, I know that it'd be useful to make this offering, that the archangelic realm, the servant's realm, would finally say sorry for overstepping their boundaries in front of the children of God. I know that that's a condition you'd like to set, but if they're going to brainwash my children into thinking that I'm the reason for my children's troubles, and they're going to manufacture troubles for my children just for the sake of getting at me, no mas, I'm not going to do this shit no more. Okay? That was, I understood that back in July of 2017. That was my line. So when you try to get me to break the gag order, can't break me. When you send people online after me, maybe John Clark was one of those people. Maybe Scat O'Leary was one of those bunch of people coming after me online. That didn't break me. When you say Chono Gook doesn't exist, that didn't deter me. When you had Hyunjin get on his King's Report and say, I'm against hierarchy, and then backpedal that didn't deter me. So then I heard you guys say, I knew it was a gang up because somebody told me, they come around the corner, Jerry and Doug are saying, you just can't break him, you know? And I'm like, wow, you really are hunting me. You're really hunting me. Do you understand, like hunting me for you, for y'all, would be like hunting an elephant trying to stab me with toothpicks. Do you understand that? Do you understand? Because you don't know where I come from. You don't know where my strength comes from. It's really in the fourth Adam's realm. So eventually I said, if they're wicked enough to strike at my family, well, that's a microcosm of you striking at heaven. So if you're willing to go that far, then by the fact that you're willing to go that far, you're incriminated already as being Satan. Okay? So I said, I know that they're not gonna risk being substantial Satan just to beat me. I had faith in you. There's no way that I thought you would go. I thought families are gonna be off limits, families are gonna be safe. So I carried out my part and I withstood all that trickery. I caught Richardson trying to get me to break the gag order, and I'm laughing it off like, Richard, you know I'm under a gag order, and I'm taking it light. But when you got people going around in the community now saying, I don't want to chaperone the Johnson kids on a trip to Thailand, and the kids fundraise pastries sale for 8 months to go. Well, after my kids heard that shit, they didn't want to go with you anyway. I love my kids for that. They didn't want to go with you anyway. I didn't twist my kid's arm to not go. They said y'all was getting salty anyway. Okay? But that's when I was like, okay, I'm done. You know, I mean, like, okay, this is how you got out of being embarrassed as a renegade angel. You decided to go full on Satan. That showed your weakness. The weakness of the pride that you have in your Restoration Age knowledge. Your Restoration Age knowledge, which you informed Hyunjin, oh, he's got to be broken in order to become a proper king. That's Restoration shit. Okay? You used all that old shit, and it's not even valid to set up strategies by. It's not even valid. So here's the thing. You outed yourself in the eyes of the real heaven, which is in line with the realm of fourth Adam. We know that it's by the spirit of lust of the angelic realm and the hierarchical realm that you did that. So you actually outed yourself, and that's why I was satisfied. I was sad that, because I really would have preferred, for the first time in history, somebody representing the servant just saying sorry. Okay? It was a wonderful minimum condition. But Satan got in your asses. Do you understand? He got up in your asses. And so you circled the wagons around this girl, right? But then somebody in your community, a group of people, because the Song family had close ties with these people, I'm pretty sure that the faces that I saw from Yun and them from the time of the Sticky Fingers dossier, she never let go of the idea. When Lourdes told her the reason people aren't joining the church is because of me, that bothered the queen, the so-called queen. I still haven't ruled out the idea that the attack on my family and all those strategies may have emanated from her. Be that as it may, I knew what my line was. Okay? And so when I start a condition, I have to obey the parameters. So I knew from back in September, I said, if they go this far, I'm out. Okay? But also I calculated, if they go this far, the way they shoot themselves in the foot is to expose themselves as being substantial Satan. I didn't believe you would do that, but you did. But I didn't believe you would do that. But I'll take it as a plus. This is why I have to say this, because I have to ultimately tell you, you became Satan in the interest of protecting Lourdes Schwartz. Because only Satan would attack my family just to get me to break. And you did want to break me because people were telling me how much you, Doug, and you guys wanted to break me. Okay? All right, so ganging up that didn't spare my family is something that I didn't like. And I'm saying all these things that I'm saying I didn't like, mind you, they're on the list because I also think that God didn't like them. If I didn't think that God also didn't like them, they probably wouldn't be on this list. Okay? So in order to get so the court case fell apart beginning with Tim Elder. So in order to get Tim Elder to admit that there was a microcosm of Chunoguk, he said we needed multiple states. So I started a Citizens Covenant group, which 30 people signed the Citizens Covenant with 3 affirmations on the Citizens Covenant. That True Father is the central person of the Tree of Life. That the divine principle is the central teaching, okay? And that the kingdom already exists. Really benign, really benign. But I know they fly in the face of the ignorance. I mean, just listen. I'm sorry. They fly in the face of your ignorance, which would burn your ego. You understand that? I understand that. If it flew in the face of ignorant comments that you made, Tim, it would burn your ego. And then the people that respect you, that watch me do that to you, who are less reserved than you, well, then they would really be even more animated than you to get me back for that. Do you understand? I understand. So, the Citizens Covenant was pasted on the door of the church, the 500th anniversary of Martin Luther. So, Halloween 2017. That Citizens Covenant was treated with prejudice. Hyunjin and his wife were told by Doug that I wanted to start a splinter group. That's prejudice. Doug, if you think I want to start a goddamn splinter group, and I'm a guy who's all about the realm of liberation, you don't fucking know me. Okay? And the second thing is, you should have asked me directly if I want to start a goddamn splinter group. Because I would have told you no. All I wanted to do was create an alternate state that could formally serve as a second state so that we could technically say we have United States, which would activate Cookjin and Tim's document. And then Tim could relax this idea that Chunoguk doesn't exist on the microcosm level, and then we could have court. Okay? So I wasn't starting a goddamn splinter group. So you went in your prejudice and informed Hyunjin and Yunanim that I was going to start a splinter group. And when I told Yunanim to her face, I'm an unchurched person. I don't even want to start church organizations. She said, you don't know it now, but you will. You will. You impressed her so hard. She knew in my face what I was going to do with my future. And I'm still not interested in the splinter group. I'm interested in the realm of Fourth Adam. I'm interested in being a brother among brothers and sisters in a liberated realm. Because I think that liberated realm goes along with some other really cool stuff that our movement is missing, like the conviction of absolute sex that would keep our kids from falling. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff, a bunch of goodies that go along with the realm of Fourth Adam that, in his ignorance, the archangelic realm doesn't even know that they're obstructing. This is why Jesus goes, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. And believe me, I look at you guys like that. I really do. But, I can't just go away. It's irresponsible if the fruit of my effort is to show that you toppled yourselves by joining with Satan, by striking at the family level, that you actually committed to your ego and your bond with the old era to that degree, that you committed the crucifixion. You actually attempted the crucifixion of a family. That's what you did. But praise God for these eyes that saw you a mile away. And when the arrow was coming just like this, I went. I did the Matrix move on you. So that's why I left. When I was like, I'm gonna take a break from the church. I kind of knew that I wasn't coming back, but I really didn't want to make a spectacle out of it, But what I did, the fruit of my effort, is the testimony of how wicked you became with your excessive desire for your titles and shit. And how dare I rise up against one of you seat holders in the at the round table? How dare I? And that false identification meant more to you than to keep a blessed family and say that's off bounds, that's off limits. I thought that you would at least say, oh, that's off limits. So when I got the proof that you actually are devilish enough to go that far, that's my fruit. So that's the plan B fruit. Plan A was just to get an apology. Plan B was to show, if you don't give me the apology, you're going to wind up doing something satanic, and then I can point at that. That'd be my plan B. So one of the reasons why I got to do this is because I'm holding on to the plan B, and I'm tired of holding on to it. So I just got to get it out there. Okay, another thing that I didn't like is Yun and them attempting to gaslight me. Her strategy goes like this. Oh, Jamal, they say you have problems. Now, most people go, oh my God, I should become penitent and act like I should mutilate myself. A person in her position, oh, wretched man that I am, right? Gaslighting is when you make the victim think that he's crazy and he submits to the idea that something's wrong with him, right? So I don't bend that easily to that tactic. So my logical question is, well, what are they saying I did? I never got an answer for that. So in conjunction with the gaslighting, you guys created a buzz very similar to how Russia created a buzz that allowed the Democrats to take over the House in 2018. Because of 2 years of Russia, now they were in range of an impeachment because the Democrats took the House, okay, in the midterms. So you guys were there with an unfounded complaint against me to stave off an imminent apology, which you hated. Do you know why you hated that apology? You understand by now why you hated that apology to that degree. That you would destroy the reputation of the best absolute sex teacher you have that has experience teaching blessed children what it means to be a blessed child. You let that go. It didn't matter enough to you. You know what mattered more? Your positions and the pride that you feel for having your positions. And how dare I make one of you atone for actual shit that you did? Like, I didn't do the shit that you did. You did it. I didn't make you do it. How pissed off should I be? I wasn't even as pissed off as a nigga should be. You understand? I just wanted an apology because I'm a student of principle. I knew that, historically speaking, church leaders played a snarky little sins of omission, passive-aggressive ways of murdering Fourth Adam. Okay? And Lourdes' behavior was more overt than that. I thought that's a fucking slam dunk. I said, damn, we might just get the public apology out this bitch. Because her behavior wasn't even covert like most church leaders are. Okay? It's not even passive aggressive with the plausible deniability. Like, oh, I didn't mean to undermine you. That's not what I was saying. Like, you know, that typical passive aggressive tactic followed up by the plausible deniability crap. Her behavior was a slam dunk, you understand? Anyway, I didn't like the fact that she tried to gaslight me with piggybacking off of an unfounded buzz you guys created, your little round table. Your little bullshit meaningless round table. Well, I say meaningless because if all you can muster is this same kill Adam shit from fucking Calvary, come on. It's meaningless. Come on, that shit's been done. Okay? Crucify, that's why you couldn't get me, because it's been done. The merit of the age is way beyond that shit. That's why I slipped that bullet. Okay? So, okay. Anyway. Alright. The final thing that I did not like. When I tell Hyunjin that I'm trying to do the Citizens Covenant, and get his advice on how I could do it to satisfy the requirements of the microcosm. And I told you why I was trying to do the Citizen Covenant group, to make an alternate state to activate the Chilanga Constitution. He told me that was I was going to make a splinter group, So I couldn't do it with him thinking. I gave up on doing it. I had 30 people behind me, some more invested than others, some in Russia that I'm really sorry for because they really looked forward to it. They really looked forward to it. Okay? He's one of the 7,000 I'm talking about. Okay? One of the people who did not bow his knee to Baal. Okay? And there's a few more. Okay? And that was broken by your treachery. That was broken by the prejudice you inherited from Doug. Okay? So I wasn't able to do that. And I wasn't able to pursue what people said was a purer expression of using your constitution to get your errant public official. So you basically waved me off any recourse I had left to do what you said I should do, which is to bring the public official to account. You didn't help me do what you asked me to do. I didn't like that. And the final thing that I didn't like, since we were also talking about the matching, which you told me to tell my daughter 7 days earlier, you told me I would be put on probation and that to be in your family, I'd have to be a church member. Now, let me tell you what I didn't like about that. I get out of the realm of church years ago, before even moving to Pennsylvania, purposely, because it means the realm of bondage to me at this point in my life. I went through 8 to 10 violent conflicts with passive-aggressive types who God had to chastise those people on my behalf and me get multiple victories. I know this thing is real. My identity has nothing to do with church. And you tell me that I need to be a part of the church in order to be in your family? I knew that that was cosmically false. That was some sort of an appeasement for the ignorant people in your favorite inner circle. That was not from you. But you had enough respect for them to try to bind me under their low level of understanding of what is going on in this era. And then so I said to you, you didn't have a problem with me being unchurched, because people like me and Robert always said we're nobody's member, we're not members of a church, da 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 da. So you knew that for years. And so I said to you, you didn't have a problem with me being unchurched when you asked me for the match a year and a half ago. And you look like that deer in the headlights, as you should, because you were lost. You were lost in appeasing the wrong people, really, the wrong people. And, you know, I was humble enough to bide my time and never crash into your ego and tell you that you're following fools. And it took that incident for me to find out how much married to the old era and how lustful they were for the spoils of a Pharisee that they were. I had just come into new knowledge of the depth of their Pharisaic lusts. But then to bind me to their will, as if you were now the object partner of them. Oh, that wasn't going to work with me. So when I went home, I had to differentiate between the physical salvation and the spiritual salvation. Because spiritual salvation is to come into knowledge and draw from the grace of being, New Testament realm, of being adopted, which is the grace of the one who adopted you. But to be the physical child is to be an inheritor, the grace of being an inheritor because of the one who bore you. My knowledge of that is my elder sonship. And you are asking me to go into a more precarious realm, the realm of church, where the children in their ignorance are the food of the treacherous returning angels in the form of the church leaders. Something I had given up years ago. So my very spiritual salvation as a physically saved person, which basically means I'm born from true father and true mother, you want me to give up that thing which perturbs these demons so much. And you want me to appease them, to join you in appeasing them. And if I don't, I won't be able to... See, I see being married into the true family as a further solidification of the physical salvation, which it's not really a strong argument. I'm already physically saved. It's just people who are in the true family should be even more confident that they are the product of heavenly sex. That's the difference between a blessed child and a true child, by the way. There ain't no other difference. You should be, heaven should be able to rely on you to act like an owner, And you should resist the bait of all the false gods, because you should be filled with a knowing that you are the recipient of an unassailable identity because of the righteousness of the sexual union that bore you. You should be more confident than me because you come from the direct sex of true parents. I come from a ceremony wherein I became the agent of God's lineage by giving birth to blessed children. Okay, so if I marry into your family, I look at that as, wow, my descendants will be even more confident. Okay, don't look at me as if I'm in the realm of no confidence. No, I'm in the realm of confidence. Okay, because look, if Lucifer could use Adam and Eve to have sex and then claim their children, then why can't God? He used the man and the woman in the blessed couple to have sex and bear his children. So if Lucifer says, and if you are standing in for Lucifer trying to thwart my ideology and my philosophy and my belief, and then you're being contrarian and you just enter the realm of Lucifer and you try to take apart my faith, well, then I look at you as Lucifer and I say, look, if it was good enough for you to claim the children of Adam and Eve because sex was done under your auspices, why isn't that good enough for the Messiah? And if you don't like it, then you'll have to relinquish your claim on all humanity, because the Messiah is using the reverse claim. Okay, and that's how confident I am that I'm in the realm of physical salvation, even though I'm first gen. So I'm already physically saved, and you're asking me to give up something that means my spiritual salvation. Like, I'm supposed to be liberated. I'm not supposed to be shackled to the church. And you're trying to shackle me to the church. You're trying to change the rules, or trying to, you're trying to bait me with something that you have, which you have the direct blood lineage. But I had to determine. I went away and I had to determine what was. Look, let me just get to the bottom line. You issued me one of the 3 temptations of Christ. You said if I just bow down to your friends and become a church flunky, that you would give me this, that, and the third. Whatever, fill in the blank, doesn't really matter. So you're going to give me something I already got. The fact that you would issue that, I didn't like that.